I think we're live. We'll see. If people join us in the next minute or so, then we'll give just a little bit of time for folks to get on. I was rushing a little bit to get on here. One of the things I had figured out about Substack Live, you can start early, but you can't start late. And I was just jumping into the chair here as we were getting started. So, hope you've been having a good week. I wanted to gather for a few minutes here in the middle of the week for Coffee with Don. And actually had the coffee ready to go quite a bit earlier, but so much going on. So, in fact, it was fixing the coffee that got me to thinking about something I wanted to talk a little bit about here in the middle of the week. Sparked really by a conversation that I had with a friend yesterday. Not going to name her because, I didn't have permission, private conversation, all that sort of thing, but stirred an idea. Um, just as we were talking about how busy not only we were, everybody is. Seems like our whole culture is just covered up. And I mean, all the stuff going on politically doesn't make it any easier. I have to say, as a pastor, it just pains me to hear people using the name of Jesus to justify actions that are just completely foreign to the teachings of Jesus. But that's not mainly what I wanted to talk with you about this evening. Kind of related, I guess. I've realized, especially in that conversation last night, how seldom we take time to just be for a few minutes. Long ago, French philosopher Blaise Pascal, who was, by the way, a believer, he said that all of humanity's problems come from an inability to sit quietly in a room alone. And that's an overstatement, I guess, but there's a lot of truth in it. And that was like, what, 200 years ago that he said that? I can only imagine what he would say these days. I was noticing the sheer pleasure that came from fixing the coffee. Now, to be honest, I've got one of those pod things that you can make coffee with pretty quickly. I don't use it. It's been a long time since I used it. I'm not trying to sell the system, so I'm not going to talk about what I'm using instead. But it is sort of like a combination of pour over and French press. Not trying to get fancy or anything, but I'm taking the time to heat up a kettle of water and pour it over the coffee grounds, letting it sit for a minute, and then stir it. Put the filter cap on the device and wait another 2 minutes. One of the things I figured out when I first started doing that is that it really only takes about maybe 3 minutes longer than doing it the hurry up kind of approach that I used to take. Wasn't just the pod thing. When I left making it in the pod based coffee maker because I was trying to get better tasting coffee, I would microwave the water to get it to boiling. Took about a minute and a half. Well, we've got a 1200 watt microwave, and so it only took a minute and a half to get to boiling. Only takes about 3 minutes to get the kettle boiling. And honestly, I think it still makes better coffee that way. I don't know what the difference is in terms of physics, but it just tastes better. Maybe it's because I'm taking a little bit more time with it. Now, you might listen to this and think, well, what does coffee have to do with spirituality? I think it could make a lot of connections, quite honestly. I frequently joke that I may be a Christian pastor, but I believe in sorcery. Every morning I get up and make a potion from magic beans, and it brings me back to life. But I'm kidding, but I think just taking some quiet time Even if it's just 5 minutes, 5 minutes to not check the phone, 5 minutes to not rush through something like making coffee, 5 minutes of truly quiet. I have a tendency, if I've got 5 minutes when I'm doing something like, let's say, making coffee, I'll pop on a podcast, listen to 5 minutes worth of podcast. Uh, I do podcasts. I have done podcasts. I'm really kind of replacing the podcasting with doing Substack Lives because there's not nearly as much of a time investment. But again, that's another discussion. Um, when I'm washing the dishes, doing laundry, whatever it might be, listen to a podcast because there's a lot of information I need to parse through, but it's not really dead time. Today, as I was making the coffee, I took the time to notice how the light shimmered off of the surface of the coffee, especially in that first minute. Took the time to listen to the birds. I took the trash out right after. There's a comic strip. Um, what's the name of it? Rose, something Rose. It's an ongoing kind of joke on there where the husband has his garbage can moments, the times when he's taking the trash out at night and he stops and he looks at the heavens and notices the stars, and those are important times to him. It's a different way of looking at those chores, isn't it? So I want to encourage you, whether you do formal meditation, formal prayer time, catch yourself just filling the time, filling it with distractions. Give yourself permission to have quiet, to have the radio or the whatever they use these days, CD players, MP3 players, have it turned off in the car. Notice the things that you can hear if you just stop. I'm wondering if you're hearing the lawnmower that's going on in the neighbor's yard right now. I don't know if the microphone's picking it up or not. But if you just stop for a little bit, it's amazing sometimes the things that you can notice. They're always there, but we're so busy focusing on doing that we don't notice them. Now, is this a substitute for prayer, substitute for worship? Absolutely not. But it is a part of being alive, I think. And so I want to encourage you to take quiet time. And you might find in those quiet times that there is that still small voice that you just hadn't noticed before. Maybe it'll make your life a little better. In any case, I hope that our little midweek visit does something to help you live your life more spiritually, calmly, connectedly, if that is a word. And we will look forward to chatting with you again on another Coffee with Donn. Remember, we do this most Wednesdays, not every Wednesday. Almost didn't do one today, but we had this thought that I wanted to dig into, and I hope it was worthwhile thinking with you a bit. Blessings to you, and come see us at Lincoln Park Linwood United Methodist Church in Knoxville, Tennessee. We would be glad to meet you in person.